Hailing you, hailing us from the USS Spacebook. Time to demist your mirror and engage your warp drive for this episode of our YouTube exclusive raw, unfiltered, as live Star Trek video podcast. News, views, and reviews from the final frontier with me, Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. And yes, this week's home stroke away team. Where are we? Yes, there we are. Oh, no, there. Hey, hello. Who's it going to be this week to make their way with us through to the second half, where the end is almost in sight, isn't it, actually, of Star Trek Discovery Season 3, The Insomniac's Friend, as I've taken to referring it to. Oh, yeah, join me again in the co-host chair, as always. I've taken to calling him our guardian of forever, our peerless prophet. It can only be the rabbi from another planet. Welcome back, Sfila Bekin.
Oh, hell!
That's great, yeah. All hail to you as well, mate.
All hail, yeah. Well, I think we're in a mirror-esque universe episode. Yeah, well, get into get into Gary. Yes. Time to go to the Agonizer or watch Discovery.
Oh, that we're getting them in quick this time, aren't we? I've just noticed as well, it's nearly Christmas, of course, and you have gone science officer blue for your...
Oh, well, listen. I love Christmas. I adore Christmas, which is a bit incongruous being a rabbi, you know. But I do. I like Christmas a lot, so I kind of get into the spirit of things.
Yes, I've noticed you're a very jolly character in general, though, aren't you?
I am reasonably jolly. That has been said.
all year round, Christmas or otherwise. And before we get too much into the merriment, it'd be rude not to include this guy. It's our regular panelist, navigator of all sense and reason. Let's see what's out there with Keith Isles from Let's See What's Out There podcast. Hello, mate. even better. How are you this week, my friend? Good?
Yeah. Not too bad. Thank you. So,
ready for more? Yeah, stuff.
Looking for more interesting discussion, indeed.
Yes, we never know what we're going to get with this show. And stepping back into the breach. This is really quite a coup that this guy continues to come back, a glutton for punishment, one may say. But yes, it's your cohort, isn't it? From Let's See What's Out There, the one and only Pete Mealy. Welcome back, mate. How are you?
Hey, thanks. I'm doing well. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
What is your tattoo? I've never seen it before. This is the shortest T-shirt. Yeah. That's so cool. Oh my god. Okay, you're a real fan. Okay, that's it. No one can ever question your fanness.
He's a huge fan.
This is my Lord of the Rings tattoo. So
okay.
There you go.
You got the Trek and the Lord of the Rings. There we are.
Yeah,
both
Star
of
Trek
you.
and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. How old are they now? They look pretty fresh still.
Sorry?
How old are they? They look pretty fresh.
No, this one's 10 years old, and this one's 5.
Well, I guess that's why they call it a tattoo. But it looks very good.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see where this is going to go today, because normally Pete and I record our episodes, our podcast, prior to doing these. But we're not recording till tomorrow this time, so it'll be quite funny to see what I've got my thoughts as to what Pete probably thinks.
So it can be a sort of dress rehearsal, can't it, for you to throw some of these things around? A little bit more rough and ready.
Make a prediction?
Okay.
I'm going to be surprised if you didn't like this week's episode, right? I found, personally, okay, I'm wrong. Wow, totally wrong. Personally, I found this amongst the least offensive.
Oh, this is going to be so
I'm really enjoying
good.
Okay, I'm going to be interested.
Always a surprise or two here on Warp Drive. Whether it involves tramps or not, we get...
Oh, God. Please, no more tramp stories. Thank you.
We do have another story to get stuck into just before that, because obviously we're reaching the end of another calendar year. And it's the time of year, of course, where people in Hollywood, for example, in the film and TV industry, they start slapping each other on the back even more so than usual, don't they? And we get award ceremonies, don't we? And we get polls, and we get various other things going on. I shouldn't really say too much because there's a couple of polls going on in the Spacebook at the moment for various other things. But what really caught my eye this week was something, and I don't know how, I think this is more high profile than I was aware. It's something that's based around a particular website, quite a big geek culture website called Fansided. And they do this every year. It's taken me a little while to catch on. And they've announced this week their Fansided 250. Have you ever heard of this, Rabbi?
No, what is it?
And what they do this time of year, every year, they go across social media. They look at algorithms and they look at Google stats and searches and all that sort of thing. And they compile a list of the 250 most talked about, most tweeted about, most referenced and searched for bits of pop culture. Anything to do with movies, to do with TV shows, to do with books and comics. Sports in the mix as well too, and they
do they differentiate between like positive and negative mentions? Because I can imagine things get a lot talked about, but reasonably reviled for most of those tweets, half of those tweets.
That's a really good question. I don't know, but they do. You can break it down. There's the main 250, and then there's like a 250 specific for 250 sport, 250 geek culture, 250. All these other things. So it's really, really interesting. But of course, when I heard about this, that it was just published, this has been such a benchmark year. I suppose. I think it's a sink or swim year for at least two, maybe all three of the big three. So I went and looked up right away where, for the sake of Warp Drive, where Star Trek was placing in the 250. And here we are. Where is it? Yes, Star Trek, general Star Trek, not necessarily Discovery or anything else, is polling at 158 in the TV.
I think that's pretty healthy. Considering the relentless damage that's been done to it, that's pretty darn healthy.
Of course, this is a year where we've had Picard, and then a bit of a break, then Lower Decks, then Discovery. So it's been a boon year for Star Trek. So it's quite warranted that the higher the volume of content, the more people are going to talk about it. Like I say, for better or worse, more people are going to talk about it. So it's a respectable place. And we live in the golden age, or a new golden age of TV, of streaming services, don't we here, Pete? So there's more choices for what to watch than ever. Therefore, there's more choices for what people would wish to speak about than ever. How do you feel Star Trek's managing here? 158 in 250. It could be better, could be worse.
Yeah, I'm. This is the first I've heard of this list, and so I'm scrolling through it now as well, and I'm just shocked here. The stuff that places, Among Us, which I thought would be way up front because this game is like gigantic, is like 249. So Star Trek being 100 places ahead of that is amazing. But then on the other hand, you're right. Like there have been 3 series this year. Which I think just sort of goes towards some of the distribution issues maybe that they've been having, right? Just releasing it online.
Could be.
They're not really distribution issues, are they, though? I mean, there is a distribution issue, but they can't, like Lower Decks, they can't give away because it's awful. And nobody likes it. I mean, it's like, it's a distribution issue because they can't give it to anyone. They can't distribute it, Yeah, I think it's probably the same with Picard and Discovery. I think it's probably less popular than it used to be, and so it's probably much harder to sell. Like, where does Star Trek? Where was it 10 years ago on this list? Is the question.
I think this has been going. I did hear it's been going for around 10 years. It's been around for a while, and sports in particular.
10 years ago, Star Trek, apart from the movies, wasn't around, was it?
In the interests of comparison, for example, The Mandalorian was at number 4 in the TV chart.
Well, that's good, though. So, that's just kind of fair. People like The Mandalorian, generally speaking, right? I mean, and again, I'm not dissing on Discovery. I'm just saying, generally speaking, the target audience for Discovery hasn't really connected to it, and Lower Decks, and whereas Mandalorian, mostly people are enthusiastic about it.
And I think, as you were saying last time, Keith, even though both titles have got Star in them, Star Trek and Star Wars, there is some crossover appeal, but there's a lot less than people would think. So it's kind of by the by in some respects where Star Wars figures, because because Star Wars is a more family orientated thing, isn't it? It's more Zap Pow.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's funny how they often get compared, and I love them both in different ways. So it's yeah, I mean, on that list, Ozark's a fantastic series, by the way, and Better Call Saul, amazing. So yes.
I can't believe that's so low down. I cannot believe Star Trek is above Better Call Saul, right? So it's clearly not a barometer of quality.
I can't believe. I mean, obviously, this is all of Star Trek as well, not just current Star Trek. It'll be all of Star Trek as a franchise. Sorry, Pete, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I think what we need to consider here is that it looks like seasons have something to do with this. Like Supernatural ranks 160, but that's the last season of Supernatural this year. So that was a huge push online that generated, I think, a lot of discussion, more so than you would have gotten in a regular year. Better Call Saul probably is going to rank better when it has an ending season.
Which is this season coming.
Is it? I suppose both of those shows, their popularity. Well, we're talking about the Breaking Bad universe and Supernatural. I think that both of those things peaked around 5 years ago in terms of popularity. So, and what I find interesting here is that a show that was ended. I was going to say cancelled then, but it reached the end of its natural life. The Office. That is pitched around the same. There's no Office content on at all now, but that is pretty much in the same bracket as both Supernatural and all of Star Trek and Ozark, which I hear nothing but good things about. So that says something for the staying power of The Office, and probably I hear that they're talking about bringing The Office back in one way or another.
No, bring it back. Yeah, appreciate something for being good and move on and do something new. Don't bring it back.
Surprised to see Riverdale as low down as it was, because I know that's quite a popular show and it's had various spin-offs and things, which, what's it called? Sabrina, and there was a Kate Kane or something like Kate Keane. That was another one that was. But yeah, obviously we will be talking about. There's an elephant in the room, Rabbi, and I think we should talk about that later in the week. It might rear its head on the Type 40 Christmas party. Let's see where. But yeah, Doctor Who, of course. A lot further.
Honestly, doing number 18 in TV, it's way better than it deserves, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
I mean, it's one below Better Call Saul. And look, if you like the current era, God bless you. I have nothing against you. But just looking at it objectively, you're not going to tell me Better Call Saul and Jodie Whittaker, Doctor Who, are in any way near the same level of quality.
Well, I think that's the trick, isn't it? Even though Jodie Whittaker is the main picture of there, it is all of Doctor Who. Just like we've got the cast of Picard there, it is all of Star Trek.
But also, that's not even comparing like for like. How on earth can you compare something like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad to Doctor Who? You just can't. They're totally different.
I suppose it's not necessarily. It's the habits of the people like us. It's the habits of the fandom. It's the engagement of the fandom more so than the content. And the more people, I mean, obviously there's a knock-on effect, because the better something is, it's the more people are going to talk about it. Actually, no, it doesn't work like that in fandom, does it? Because The Last Jedi was probably the most talked about film of that year, and yet by any account, it was fairly.
I was going to say what I see mainly from fandom, certainly in terms of popularity, is people just ranting and complaining about everything. It does my head in. It really does. So many people, they're just down on everything. Mandalorian's awful, Star Trek's awful, and I think, well, then why are you bothering to talk about it if it's so bad?
I think the vast majority of people are happy with Mandalorian. Look, fans always complain. And they always argue because they're always passionate, right? They love the things that they love, right? And so they argue about it. But I think, generally speaking, people are generally favorable to Mandalorian. I think you have people who don't like it, but that's a minority. Whereas you have like these legacy franchises like Star Trek, Doctor Who, where the fandom is very divided. And I have no idea what the demographics it divides out into.
Breakdown.
Is it 50-50? Is it 37? I don't know. I really don't know. My guess is because I'm like a human being and I have confirmation bias and I want to be right? So I like to think less people like Discovery than and more people dislike it. I don't know. No one's really drilled down and seen the data. I would be fascinated to find out what it is. I really would.
Well, I noticed that we reached a point here with this particular episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 3. Sorry, get it on the screen there. Yes, this is episode 9 we're going to talk about in a moment. But this is a show that's been with us on screen now since 2017. So this is 3.5 years we're coming up for. And yeah, there's a good chunk of episodes. Should be enough now that the show has a kind of legacy of its own, a language of its own. And
doesn't
a little
have an identity of its own yet, does it?
But that's the problem.
Keith and Pete, would you say Star Trek Discovery has an identity? Like Enterprise did, every other show had. Because it changes every 20 minutes. Do you think it's got an identity?
I think that the seasons overall have had an identity.
Oh, that's fair.
Season 1 had a very strong identity. Season 2 had a strong identity. Season 3, up until this week, had a strong identity.
Go everywhere! Do everything!
And then this week, it was just all over.
Well, wait, was this week harder for you than the about 2 week the Vulcan episode?
No.
Okay,
no. 2 weeks ago was much harder for me.
That was
2
bad. We
weeks
spoke
ago
to Keith. Keith still came on the show, but he said to us afterwards, he said, Pete says his apologies. He would like to join us, but he's busy, but he feels like he would find this indefensible.
It was completely indefensible. The Vulcan verbal trial was garbage.
That's the absolute candor for you, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some absolute candor for you. It was garbage. But it was still like I could see what they were doing, and I think it's still, to take it back to your original question, it fits in with their sort of overall theme for this season and their identity. We get to this episode where we had about 10 minutes of the standard identity, and then they land on a comedy planet, and then they go through a mirror universe door. And
it's kind of like they crammed the entirety of Star Trek over the summer and said, and to see what sort of things there is. Right, and they threw in like what was that? Not those silly episodes of Next Generation when they're on a train. They're all of these wacky episodes, and they just put them on the same level as like yesterday's Enterprise and best of both, and they don't know that there's something better than the other.
To me, that all that sort of stuff is quintessentially Star Trek, and it's quintessentially strangely American as well, Pete. From an Englishman's point of view, it's got this wonderful Americana feel about it, like that episode of Deep Space Nine where they're writing for that science fiction magazine.
That's brilliant.
To me, that is
one of my favorite episodes.
I mean, it may be somewhat cod to actual Americans, but to us, that seems like part of your.
You can't compare culture. Like this to that.
No.
Yeah,
the visual language.
The
visual language. The short.
They bring up that episode. I actually think that was one of that and let this be your last battlefield, or the black and white. Right? They were not just the two best episodes talking about racism as in terms of like a reality within Western society, but like some of the two best hours of television talking about racism as a reality in society. And it's just, oh man, that's just a benchmark. Like this one looks like they just kind of got an idea. They used to have quirky characters in there, they didn't really understand. And like, well, Star Trek fans like that, let's throw some of that in and see what happens.
Well, 2 weeks ago we had Unification Part 3, Pete, and which I think was probably one of the worst things I've seen on TV in a long time. Anywhere, and certainly one of Star Trek's darkest hours. Last week's I found very, very middling, but I think the season as a whole, considering that we're entering the final third, never mind the second half, I think it has had its own identity, and to play with that, to sort of mold that this late in the day when maybe there are people who found it for the first time. Maybe it's brought some people back to Discovery at this point. I'm not entirely sure. I tend to stay away. Kind of what we were talking about earlier on, what you were saying, Keith, because I know there's a lot of outraged voices out there with with Star Trek. Not least of all, the gentleman to my right. There's a lot of outraged voices out there, and you can find yourself persuaded to other people's way of thinking, and sort of almost hear their voice above your own. So I do try and come at Discovery without having sampled any other reviews. Do you do that too?
Oh, most definitely. I with everything, in fact, not just Discovery, but I watch it. I try and know as little as possible about stuff before I see it. I don't like watching trailers. I just try and go into it cold and see where it takes me and make up my own opinion. And then I watch everything. I watch all of the reviews or read the reviews or and I can't get enough of it once I've seen it. But I don't ever want to go into anything with my opinion being swayed for the good or the bad of anything else.
Right. It's so easy for that to happen. I have to do my reviews pretty darn quick before I hear anybody else. I want to hear other people think, but I completely agree with you.
I don't even watch your. Sorry, Rabbi. I don't even watch your video until after we've recorded this one, so I don't know what you're going to say. So but there are places. Obviously, I go to the Rabbi from Another Planet. I go to Let's See What's Out There podcast. These are essential places for any Star Trek fan. We'll get that out of the way, and we'll be plugging those again a little bit later on. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get this up and remind you what we've seen this week. This was Terra Firma Part 1. The USS Discovery's crew journey to a mysterious planet in hopes of finding a cure for Philippa Georgiou's deteriorating condition. Stamets and Adira, the dream team, the Yogi Bear and Boo-Boo of Discovery, make a stunning breakthrough with the newly acquired burn data. This is a story by Bo Yeon Kim and Erica Lipolt, plus Alan McElroy again. A teleplay by God, blimey, I can't. Wait for my tongue to beam in, everybody. A teleplay also by Alan McElroy, directed by Omar Mada.
I tell you, it's never a good sign when you see like 3 or 4 names on the writing credits, right? Like, how many of these monkeys did it take to come up to type this nonsense? Like, really? It's like I don't understand what did the 3 people do to like write 48 minutes of TV? Like, how do you need 3 people to do that?
I think it's kind of like you said.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like you said, Rabbi. I think that somebody had the general shape and the general idea for this, but they wanted to stitch it into Star Trek. And somebody else, there's one person out of that quartet who knows Star Trek better than the others, so they probably brought that in. Pete, you start us off. You surprised that you dropped the bombshell. Yeah. Tell us, what's your general statement about Terra Firma Part 1 from the get-go?
That the 4 people writing, maybe one person had the general idea. One person wrote the beginning bit that was like very Star Trek Discovery Season 3 up until this point. Somebody else wrote the middle bit, which was Alice in Wonderland Planet with snow. And then somebody else wrote the 4th bit, which was the Mirror Universe Back in Time. Yeah, and I
think it's pretty clear it wasn't this is all like not a real mirror universe back in time, because they changed the future and they changed the course of things, right? And they killed Stamets.
She hasn't gone back in time because she hasn't met herself, so it's a little bit quantum leapy.
Yeah, it's like a Q, like, I don't know, invented reality. But yeah, look, I mean, the minute she kills Stamets, I'm like, well, then this is a different timeline if it's real. But I think it's kind of clear this is all like kind of some fantasy thing made by the weird alien guy with the door.
But wasn't Mirror Stamets like stuck in the spore drive in Season 1 or something?
Exactly. So yeah, he was alive after that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely a way that you could play it that this is all the same. But it was all over the place. I'm sure it's going to relate back to some Giorgio like Burnham.
Oh, of course. This is the thing. This is the disclaimer we always have to do with with stories like this. It is part one. We've only seen half of the story, haven't we? So maybe it'll. I do try and be fair, Alex. I try and be fair where I can, mate. I try and be fair. I also think this is quite seasonal. We've got Burnham there dressed a little bit like a Christmas decoration, and Giorgio dressed as a reindeer. So, it's nice to have a bit of the Christmas flavour.
But it's nice she's got the He-Man sword, right?
It is very Princess Power, isn't it? Go on, kick us off, Rabbi.
I have to ask Pete about why is this guy from like a couple hundred years ago wearing a Next Generation first season costume? That really irritated me. I'm like, it's the wrong costume, isn't it?
It is absolutely the wrong costume. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, well, actually, I thought exactly that. 'Cause you know what I'm like with uniforms and continuity and all this. However, this is the one where they confirm that they're aware of the existence of the alternate timeline, the Kelvin universe, because that's where this guy came from. So,
I heard about that, but I didn't look into it. What was he? What was the canonization of the Kelvin? How did that happen?
Cronenberg's character, sorry, I've forgotten the character name, but David Cronenberg, I just love David Cronenberg as a director. So, but his character mentions that this officer, this character, came from a alternate timeline that was the event of a Romulan incursion by a mining ship, which is basically the Narada and Nero. So essentially they are aware that the alternate timeline exists. So it's the first time actually in Prime canon that they've acknowledged.
You got to push to call this Prime canon. I'm sorry.
Well, it's I mean, whether you like it or not, it is.
Why?
And
why?
Because it is.
There is so much to tell me. This takes place in a different universe. Firstly, Discovery.
I'm with Keith on this. Go on, carry on.
Like this, I mean, like again, I'm assuming this takes place in the same universe as Lower Decks as Picard, right? I'm assuming they all take place in the same Kurtzman universe, right? There's nothing to say this isn't the Prime universe other than it being fundamentally different in so many core philosophical ways. There's nothing to say it's not the. It's nothing to say it is either.
Maybe. God. Yeah, I had it straight in my head, but yeah, David Cronenberg's character. I've just looked up. His name is Kovich.
Who cares? David Cronenberg. For some reason, let's put David Cronenberg in this. Wouldn't it? A much more interesting show would have been a documentary in the writers' room to see how this happened.
I think Cronenberg's character.
Would you be interested to know? I would be interested to know.
I think Cronenberg's character is a much needed injection of charisma and eccentricity, and he's got this sort of magnetism about him, which I can't quite put my finger on. And you put him across from somebody like, yes, I'm going to have a go at Wilson Cruz again because he was awful. I was going to swear then. He was terrible in this episode yet again. Just say your lines, stand rooted to the spot. He clearly works out. Bless him, wants to show that off. Sucks in the old glutes. I don't care. I've never cared less about this character. And the more they move into the center of the show, the more I ask, why? More Saru, less of that no mark. By all means, even opposite somebody like David Cronenberg, he can't seem to raise his game at all. The stuff with the universes, a lot of people are talking about that out there in fandom. I was never particularly confused about it in the first place. I've got to be honest. I'm always surprised that people are surprised by this. I was never particularly confused by the JJ movies. I thought they made it very clear what had happened, where and why, where Prime Spock had gone, and reaffirmed that certainly by the end of Star Trek Beyond, where he's got the photograph of the undiscovered country time. But yeah, it's I suppose not everybody is minded towards these things. I'm certainly not the sharpest tool in the box, so it's not like I'm going to claim greater intellect. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's just watching a lot of time travel stuff. I don't know. This guy in the middle, this crew member, I read it slightly differently to you guys with the wrong uniform thing. I got the impression that what Kovic was talking about and what he was telling Colbert about, he was filling him in on the temporal Cold Wars that we got covered during Enterprise, and that they are all over and done with. There's been these new time travel regulations put in because of however that went down. Maybe there'll be a book about that at some point, how it actually finished. But that this guy was effectively a trooper in those temporal Cold Wars, and wherever he was deployed to tinker with time or to do. Remember that guy in Enterprise that used to talk to Archer? I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
Daniels.
Yeah, so I get the impression that Daniels and there were several other people, maybe from all races, all worlds, who were put at specific points in Star Trek universe history to tinker in the same way that Daniels was, and they would fit in wearing whichever uniform that was to that particular year, wherever they were stationed at the time, to do their tinkery.
No, I think you're right, absolutely. But he does also mention that this guy not only was a time traveler, but had come from the other universe as well, which is how they're trying to justify what's happening to
a dimension
Joe.
Yeah, so it's unnecessary. I suppose it's unnecessary muddying of the waters. But then again, Rabbi, the Georgiou character, it is all like that, isn't it? We mentioned last week how they continue. To pull her around.
The show continues to be a sci-fi show written by people who don't particularly like science fiction and don't really understand it, right? I mean, it's like the sphere data, the sonar in space. It's like they don't really. It's like they think it's all kind of silly, and it doesn't really matter that it doesn't make sense, because none of it makes sense. They're all silly, flying around on spaceships. Now let's go and watch ER, which is or whatever they want, which is a show they enjoy.
I forgot I prepared this, but this is the prime timeline. This was prepared by. No, I didn't make this. This was made by a website. I can't remember who it is, but there will be a link to them in the description later on. I can't remember which fan site it was, but yeah, this popped up when I was looking up the episode, and yeah, I thought this was a really good graphic, and this is pretty much how I'd viewed it. I'm looking at that Red Angel, but yeah, this is how I'd got it in my head too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think
up to the Narada there, the destruction of Vulcan going off and creating the Kelvin timeline, and then here we've got. We have got a three-pronged thing.
What the attack on the was it Octari Alpha Outpost? What is that?
Ooh, isn't that where Burnham's mother takes
to
escape?
Again, who cares? I don't know.
Yeah, as soon as you introduce Discovery Law into this whole thing, because they're not, they don't seem to grasp. They're not sci-fi writers, are they? So they're very crude with it. I get the impression there's no chart on their wall, for example. They're not watching the way that fans are. Can you keep all this straight in your head, Pete? Because I'm struggling.
So I thought I had the timeline down, but then I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait, what? Where? I don't understand the arrows coming off of the topmost, the top and to the right.
That's the Red Angel stuff.
Yeah, but I don't understand how. Oh, now I'm getting how they flow. Right. Okay.
Right.
So
right. That
Burnham's
was the
mother gets the
original
attack.
timeline, and then she went back and changed it with Discovery, making this alternate timeline.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's not complicated. It's just like, why do we have to say that this is the? I mean, honestly, I do think if Star Trek is to continue, this whole era is just going to be quietly forgotten. I just don't think there's enough people out there who support it and I think there's more people out there who want to see it gone than want to see it stay. Yeah. I think people like Keith tolerate it, but I think that's the best.
Keith, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing with the setup that they had at the beginning. I would have almost preferred that they dug more into that and explored that a little bit more than, because once again, we've gone back in time. I thought we were finally, forward ahead of everything, but, we've gone back to prior to Discovery season 1 now, and we've gone into a mirror universe again. And I was like, bearing in mind, we've already had 7 episodes of Discovery in the mirror universe. That's more than any other Trek. Even Deep Space Nine only did it 5 times, I think, right? So we're back there again, and I was kind of, I mean, I certainly didn't expect it. That's one thing. It wasn't predictable. I didn't see that coming. But I was kind of personally hoping, or I would have found it more interesting had they explored the temporal accords and that individual that they talked about at the beginning. If they dug more into that, then suddenly now having a thing where we're not only back in time, but we're also in the mirror universe, and Giorgio has now changed events. So, obviously we'll find out next week whether she actually was in the mirror universe or she was in some sort of Q-type recreation, tester. So I don't know, but
I mean, here's my ultimate fear is that we started the episode, we started the season with a part 1 show that then never had a part 2, and so when the title for this episode came up and it was part 1, I just went, oh no, we're never gonna know what happens.
They have it down as part 2, right? They definitely have this one down as part 2 for next week.
Yeah,
unless they change it. They
had episode 2 down as part 2 up until it came out, I think.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Listen, nothing matters. You just got to say to yourself, nothing matters. Nothing matters in terms of like sense of continuity. So again, this didn't bother me. I'm like, well, this is what Discovery does. It does.
Yeah, I'll say like
sense will matter.
None of this like made me upset, but like Unification Part 3 made me upset. But this, I was just going along with this, and I was saying, what is this doing? I don't understand why this is happening, and I kept sort of going, I can't believe this is the episode that they're deciding to put out right now. It felt very much like they were just sort of trying to do a soft pilot, a soft launch on some other show. And I don't know, it took away. I was really hoping to watch another episode of Discovery, but instead we were watching an episode of some sort of mirror universe spinoff.
I think they've taken the gloves off. We've spoken on this show a few times about how generally terrible Michelle Yeoh has been in this series, and it's not because she's a terrible actress at all. She's got boatloads of charisma, but the fact is that they've kept her around in the background, just like other actors, almost like keeping them on staff before they really know what to do with them. She's looked frustrated with the part, and here she is finally given something to get her teeth into. She's as hammy as ever, but this does remind me why I like this actress and why I do kind of think this character may just have the last dregs. They could have got to her just in time to make me care about her again, because that's what this is all about. This story is trying to make us relate to Giorgio again, to care about the character, to believe that she's got this bond with Burnham, which I'm still not convinced about. They're working really hard to try and sell us on it, but I just don't feel it at all. But I am amused, Keith, by Michelle Yeoh. It's a bizarre performance. It is, but you can't help but watch it, can you?
No, I mean, the thing is, and I'm sure Pete will talk about his thoughts on the mirror universe and stuff, but because we've had long discussions about it. But here's the thing, a lot of people say, about Star Trek being, realistic and all of this sort of thing, and I mean, it isn't. These mirror universe episodes, I mean, they're bordering on camp, and it's just a fun romp, and it's okay if you don't take it seriously and you don't, read too much into it, but it's actually, when it boils down to it, ludicrous, and they are all just, chewing the scenery and just having a blast, aren't they? I mean,
fair to say that
fun with it, but
it's fair to say that alternative universes, mirror universes, all that sort of thing, at their very, very best, they are they are the Harlan Ellison way. They are the what's his name? The Rod Serling way. You know, the Twilight Zone would play with that kind of thing all the time. But at their worst, obviously, they come with all that baggage of pulpy 50s and 60s stuff, which, depending on the tone at which people want to play it, you know, this is the same the world over. This is the same in British shows where, you know, people wear eye patches or goatee beards or whatever to distinguish themselves from their counterparts. It all gets a little bit panto, which I'm fine with. It's part of the joy of it, and I consider it to be part of Star Trek.
Oh no, it isn't.
Yeah, oh, he's behind you. He's behind you. Oh God, yeah. But so when this actually kicked off, when this happened, I mean, we got some great effects work. The effects work's always beautiful on Discovery. No, almost always beautiful on Discovery. But when this kicks in and this story begins, we talked about earlier on the man with the doorway. I thought, my God, this actually, and okay, you know, it's probably quite crude. To do it in this way, but it started to feel. I thought, blind, this feels like Star Trek now. These are classic Star Trek methods and tropes and framing devices to take us elsewhere or when, and to get into a character's psyche. So yeah, I've just hammered it home here with these two graphics. Kisses to the past. I don't view this a great deal differently. This character at the top, this gentleman, he's the caretaker, he's Q, he's the guardian of forever, he's all these characters, these puckish characters. It doesn't really matter how he takes the participants or the victims, where he takes them. It's just getting them there. And it is literally, in this case, it's Narnia, it's the TARDIS, it's whatever. It's the magic door to take the narrative where you need it to take it. But and it is, to me, Keith, this is Star Trek, but do you think that people do struggle with this? The people who came to Star Trek for its more scientific leanings, do you think they struggle with this?
I think Pete should answer that question.
Pete, do you think people struggle with it?
I think that when Star Trek does this well, it is engaging. And so the Guardian there, right? From
City on the Edge of Forever. City on the Edge of Forever. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the key difference for me is that the Guardian there, like, didn't have to speak in riddles, wasn't written dialogue that made him, you know, come off as sort of pretentious, and it felt very forced in Discovery, whereas it didn't feel forced the other times. And I see that, you know, the homages there that you're bringing up, but I think it's just the difference between writing it well and writing it poorly. The old TOS episode that this harkened back to me the most was the one where they meet Alice in Wonderland, you know, and it's a totally different thing. But
so
Shore Leave, yeah. And they see a rabbit hopping around, right? And it's just sort of absurdist, and I'm sure they get to a point behind it. But there's that absurdist moment, and that's what this felt like to me. And they never got to the point behind it. And so, sure, maybe that's coming in episode 2. And you know, who am I kidding? I'm going to be there.
They're never going to explain who he is, where he's coming from. Never.
Yeah.
It's a Star Trekky thing. Who cares?
I feel similarly to how when you talked about this at the start, Rabbi. I feel similarly to you. To me, I think this episode was one of the most successful of Star Trek since season 1, and for the reasons that you described. For me, because it leans a lot heavier into Star Trek. I know what this episode is trying to say. I know what it's about. I can see it trying to. I mean, I suppose you could say it's very on the nose way of doing it, but they're going to great lengths to develop a character, and one particular character right at the center of it. I mean, you could say too with Burnham, but Burnham's very much the cipher to this. They're taking one character and they are developing her the way we got this in TNG, we got this in DS9. Yes, the writing is cruder. Yes, they take their eye off the ball, and yes, I think somewhere around the middle third point, it starts to sag, and the gears start to crunch a little. But go on, Rabbi. What do you think about it as the episode builds momentum and where it goes?
It's well, to me, it just seems like the second half is a standard mirror universe that we've seen It seems okay. This episode seemed derivative done before. Very standard Mirror Universe of like we get to see the regular cast being bad and evil. Although I have to say, Tilly. Again, I say this every week, and this is no personal attack on Michelle Weissman. She's married, she's had a baby, and she's minimally 30 pounds heavier than she was in season 2. Probably 40 pounds heavier than last time she wore this outfit. And oh my God, does it show? I think, and here's the thing, you're not. This is one of the social niceties you're not allowed to breach anymore in Hollywood, because Hollywood had been rather bad at forcing women and men, I guess, to have sex a lot and been objectified to get roles. So now they've gone completely the other way, and they're complete Puritans. They're not going to mention it. It breaks the illusion. I'm sorry. It's just she's back in time, and she's a lot heavier. And again, this is no way on me an attack on her at all.
Look, this is supposed to be.
Here, 1 second.
Why does that actually matter?
What?
Because they're supposed to be the best and the brightest of humanity, and they're supposed to be disciplined. That's why.
Not
in the Mirror Universe. They're not.
My thumbnail for my review, which you can decide whether you want to put it up or not. I would understand if you want to go for not.
No, I'll put it up. I just couldn't see it at the bottom. There we are.
Also, okay. Yeah.
Oh God, Rabbi.
It was noticeable with Spock's beard that she suddenly looks a bit different.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, well, first of all, I don't think that actually matters. But here's the thing. When we were in the Mirror Universe with these characters in season 1, it wasn't these characters. The Discovery jumped into the Mirror Universe and replaced the Mirror Discovery. So it was all of these characters posing. This is the first time.
Mirror Universe is regular people doing bad stuff. And that's all that's going on in the head of the viewers and the writers. People like us who've seen Star Trek before know that because we've seen Star Trek before. But for the 16-year-olds that they're trying to get to watchers who are not interested, and the writers who have really little interest in Star Trek whatsoever, they're quite happy to have a job. That's all they're thinking. They're not thinking, well, it's not. No. Stop pretending.
I'm not pretending. What I'm saying, though, which is fact, is as far as the Discovery crew that we see in this, okay, they're wearing the costumes and stuff that are recycled from season 1, but they are actually different characters because they are now playing the actual Mirror Universe characters. Where in Discovery season 1, they were posing as the Mirror Universe characters.
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Do you think that thought process went through the creators' minds at all?
Well, I would assume so, because otherwise this would make even less sense.
I doubt it. I don't think. Maybe they did. Listen, maybe they. I don't think they thought of that in a second. I don't think. I really don't.
I don't think they thought of that. I think they went with your first thought, Keith, which is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what her weight is, and I agree with that.
I don't know. It just seems like it's just a bit odd. It's like the crew being 70-80% female without referencing it. It's a bit odd. It's a bit weird. It's like suddenly you're on a ship and everybody's got red hair, and they don't mention it. And like, why does everybody have red hair? And everybody turns around and stares at you inside like, what? Do you think red-headed people can't fly a starship? What are you, a sex or a red-headist or whatever it's bloody called? It's the same thing. It's just like it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like many things that stick out like a sore thumb. Well, it does to me. It does to me. And you know what? I will agree. I'm not being kind. I'm not looking at it nicely. But I don't have any goodwill build up with this show. Mandalorian makes lots of mistakes all the time, and I go, it's okay. You're okay. I don't mind. This thing steps
You're a good guy. Yeah.
and I go, you bastard! You know,
but I don't. But that's
Talk
not
about-
actually the issue with the show here, is it? I mean, what you're bringing up there is
Oh, no.
nothing to do with what the
that's
problem
absolutely the issue
with
the
this
show. They built
episode
up
is.
this ill will within me. Why they build it up systematically, purposely, by being morons. I mean, I'm sorry. You know, you can't have crap. Like again, you can't have Unification Part 3 and then go, let's forget about that. No, you've just kicked me in the balls with that. You know, and now I'm supposed to forget it and watch your other show and not mention something that I think is that something that could be a little bit cruel. No, at this point, they don't like you, and they go. This is how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how best way I can explain it. Most people have roughly the same positive and negative traits, right? Most people are about the same thing. The difference in liking somebody and disliking somebody is you focus on their positive traits if you like them, and you focus on your negative traits if you dislike them. And that's how humans work. That's how people like each other and dislike each other. Is most of the time people aren't evil, so you dislike them. It's just you look at the bits of themselves that you don't like. So that's and that happens for a reason. You know, if you have somebody who's a school bully or done something to you that you don't like, you got to focus on their negative traits, which is what Discovery has methodically built a heart of space. That's season 2. I mean, listen, anybody who sat through season 2 and well, you two did, so I can tell me, but one who sits through season 2 and can look at these people in any way positively, which I can't. More power to you is all I can say.
And they lost the coherence. I tell you what I do like about the Mirror Universe is that crew seem to function together. They work alongside one another and they mix. We have homosexual people mixing with straight people. We have black people mixing with black people. It's quite extraordinary.
Universe, isn't it?
I would rather live in the Mirror Universe.
What is up with the LGBTQ ghetto? Like, it's so creepy. I mean, like, in all fairness, Adira's pretty creepy in of herself, but not as creepy as her boyfriend who vanished. Thank God. But
is it weird that name Adira is so close to Adric? But with those characters, with them existing and working in these little pockets, with them working together in these little pockets, it does. I mean, it's getting quite uncomfortable now. And to me, it speaks to that. You usually bring this up, and now it's going to be me, Rabbi. The thing on Twitter, and that sort of particular political gender politics line where everybody has to be labelled and be put in a specific pile. I just don't get it. I think it's so anti-Star Trek, and this I think really hammers that home. Michael Burnham and Giorgio's relationship is they're trying to portray it as quite complex and almost Shakespearean, I think, Pete. And it's not, but it's still not working for me, no matter how much they embed it. What do you feel about this?
Yeah, no, the Mirror Universe, Burnham and Giorgio. I'm going to separate that out from the Prime Burnham.
But they're trying to tie it together, though, aren't they? It is sort of wrapped up together like that.
Yeah, but I think so. I guess I'm approaching it like I understand the Prime Burnham's motivation. If we flip over to Mirror Giorgio, I get her sort of overall thing, but it falls a little flat for me. I'm happier when they move that away from that. They really focus on it here. They gave Burnham, a perfectly suitable line that explains it, right? About how, Giorgio's like, you should be thankful because I picked you off that trash heap. And Burnham was like, no, I was the king on that trash heap. I was like, oh, okay, great. You put some thought into a backstory. I don't care.
My thoughts on that is it just seemed to be either the writers or the writers are trying to get to watch the show whining about their mothers, which seems like an adolescent thing, which is kind of fits into the tone of the show. Like they did, like, mommy, I don't like you because you're not eating. Like, God, whatever, like. It just seemed like a lot
is the story.
See,
but is the story of mothers and daughters any different between the story between fathers and sons, Keith?
I mean, the things, the last few sort of things you said about, some of the issues with this and the social politics or whatever. In this particular episode, I mean, I'm not seeing. I must be blind to it or something, because I'm not seeing any of that. All I saw in this episode was a campy romp in the mirror universe, which, as I said, there wasn't anything wrong with that. I'm just surprised in terms of storytelling and where they're trying to go with this show, that we've gone back there. And I understand they're trying to sort of flesh out Giorgio and all this. But
I agree that content isn't there, and all that your diagnosis just is bang on. And I think that's why I enjoyed this episode more than any other episode.
100%.
I don't think it was any more successful in its objectives. You know, Pete's diagnosis, Pete's review of it is, you know, it's fair, it's right. But so it doesn't really accomplish its objectives. Maybe it will next week, maybe it won't. But I just think it's a breath of fresh air that we have something that at least we know what it's about, and
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just hope that next week it solves the things that it's set up here, because I'll be honest, I certainly wasn't expecting this. Generally, I don't have a big problem with I find the mirror universe stuff, as I said, a bit of fun. I just look at it as a bit of fun, right? But what I am confused about is, I understand they're trying to develop and I'm guessing come to some sort of conclusion with the Giorgio character. But what I am surprised about is the fact that they've gone back to the mirror universe and back in time to do it. If that is indeed what's happening here, unless it's just some sort of fancy trick thing that she's being tested with. But anyway, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think you've got the perfect image up right there of Giorgio. That sort of sums up the episode, because when she puts on that crown in her stateroom, I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Why on earth would she have a crown like that? And then there is that one shot where she turns around and the engine of her ship is perfectly framed in the crown, and I went, oh, that's why they have that crown.
There you go.
So
maybe she saw that next gen episode with Data had all those weird masks on. It was a really bad episode. It was one of my least favorite. It was in the later series. It's what one?
It's called Masks, isn't it?
Masks, yeah.
I've not seen
season 7, I think.
Season 7. It was,
that's what this is. Is like, for me, this episode was like several odd choices that then pay off in one quick thing that seemed to only be to make it look visually nice, right? Like, they were like, obviously somebody had the thought, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Giorgio had a crown, and then through the crown you could see the thing of the ship? And it was like,
I think they got that from Next Generation, right? I think they've been watching Next Generation, because you watch some of those episodes and it's weird. When they get to an ad break, or you can tell because they don't have the ad breaks anymore. When they get to an ad break, you have Riker sometimes walk right across the bridge for no reason whatsoever, so he can line up just right and go like that, with the camera. Or you get 3 heads. They did that a lot in Next Gen.
And they kind of lampoon. Well, they pastiche that a lot on the Orville, don't they?
Yes, they do. I like that.
Lovely, beautiful touch.
I hate to quibble, but I still get ad breaks.
Oh, do you? Well, they still have act outs, even though we watch it sort of in one thing. This is still obviously written in a 5-act structure or 6-act structure or whatever it is now for TV. But here's the thing. It was almost like, I almost feel like the writers' room was like, well, we've got to carry on the story of the burn, and we've got to figure that out, but we haven't quite got our head around this yet. We've got to sort this Nebula ship issue out and all this. What are we going to do? And somebody said, oh, well, gosh, we spent a lot of money, 2 seasons ago on all of those costumes and props for the Mirror Universe,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh yeah, okay, let's set one back there.
Right.
And it's like, why did they do this?
They're using what they have. Yeah,
they even get the woman back who played Hannah Cheeseman, who played Ariam in the earlier episodes. They get her back, and she's there without a prosthetic. We get Rekha Sharma back as her character.
There was more than one Ariam.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was confused about this. So here's because I thought which is still true. So the actress who's now playing Lieutenant Nielsen, okay, she played Ariam in season 1, right? But in season 2, when she then became Lieutenant Nielsen, they got another actress to play Ariam, and that actress appears in this episode as a a Mirror Universe Ariam. So yeah, because I was confused by that. I thought, hold on a second, I thought the actress who was now playing Lieutenant Nielsen was Ariam. So I checked it out, and that's what it was.
That Ariam makeup was one of the strongest things they had going for them this show.
Yeah,
it really was.
I think that's probably why the character.
It didn't make any sense, though, did it? In terms of
why are you letting that bother you? Again, I would understand if you're watching, anything else.
They effectively did what they did on EastEnders with Peggy Mitchell. Rest in peace, Barbara Windsor, by the way. When they had Jo Warne originally, she played Peggy Mitchell originally, and then Barbara Windsor came in a few years later to play Peggy Mitchell, and then eventually Jo Warne came in as another character altogether a couple of years later. This picture here amuses me greatly. It reminds me of when I've been drinking Ribena and I get the old thing around my mouth there with Michael Burnham. But when I look
like the whole Burnham look, nearly as ridiculous. I mean, that haircut, that our senior
it never worked.
His haircut and makeup.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think, to be fair to the actors and the filmmakers here, is they are absolutely embracing the ridiculousness of it all. Oh. I mean, it's just, you can see the actors are just having an absolute blast with this, and they're just hamming it up like you would not believe.
They've only got 6 people enjoying themselves. That's great. What about the other minions?
I think this is quite a thankless show to be part of, if truth be told. I think the things that they say publicly and how it may be behind the scenes must be entirely different, because you can't keep having the changes at the top on a show like this. And although this has been a steadier season 3 so far, undoubtedly been steadier, some of that, it must still give them tremors, make them worry. I want to talk a little bit about Book. He gets about 2 scenes in this. Does anybody else think that that already they've kind of run out of things to do with him? They don't really know what to do with him. His conversation with Saru, that again, more terrible writing. If that was him angling for a job, my God.
Yeah, I was kind of a bit because obviously I loved the way last week they sort of set that up, and I thought, oh, good, because it's a great actor and a good character, and they're going to do something with him, and they kind of sidestepped it again. In this episode, it's like, okay, it's almost like they got to a point where they're trying to catch up with themselves with the writing or something, and this felt like filler. I mean, it really does.
I didn't feel that way at all.
It's nice that they've given, put Giorgio sort of front and center, and it's not the Michael Burnham show this week, which should please you guys.
Yeah.
But it does feel like, unless something really significant happens in part 2, I'm a little bit perplexed about what they're doing at the moment.
Well, I think I know exactly what they're doing, and okay. Yes, cynical hat on, practical hat on. They're setting up a Section 131 show with Phil Angel. We know
but they've been doing that since
already.
Yeah,
we know that's going to happen.
I think he's saying, why are they doing it this weird way with the Mirror universe?
That's right.
I think the answer is it's budgetary. I think they got sets hanging around. They were in Iceland anyway, so they got it just seems like it was a. These are kind of like, they're not bottle episodes in that. They are bottle episodes in that they're designed to save money. It's a 2-parter. I think it's more indicative they're trying to save money. So it's a not a bottle episode in that it's not contained to the great wider
here's
structure.
Here's why they're doing it, and here's why they're doing it like that. They've in this instance, okay. I mean, that practicality we just talked about, that's accepted. That's a box ticked. We know that's coming. And to be honest with me and Star Trek Discovery, I'm just happy for them to focus on any of the characters in a more singular way and make a concerted effort to develop them within a relatively contained story. I think we've become that accustomed to the strong arc dictating to Discovery that the simple craft of putting together a teleplay and telling a definite story in a particular chunk has eluded them. It's not even seemed to have been on their radar to do this. But with Georgiou, what they're doing, they know they're going to put her in the middle of this show. She's going to be the obviously the big star of it. She's a reasonably sort of C-list celebrity. People recognize her even if they don't know her name. The entire show is going to hinge on her personality, but you cannot lead a show with a character that people either don't like or don't relate to. Now, they can't make this character somebody that you like, because then it takes away what very little appeal that she actually has and what very little character that has been built up over the last couple of years. So they're trying to make you. And to be fair, when The Next Generation first started, Patrick Stewart as Picard, he was quite an unlikable, crusty character. So that's fine. We can have characters we're not sure about at the centre of something like this. But we have to be able to relate to them in some way. And that is what they're trying to do here. That's what this story is doing. It's trying to get us to relate to Georgiou, to recognise the fact that even though she's in this crown here, and I picked that image for a number of reasons, but in her head and the character that we've been with for up until now, this is her clicking her heels together and being taken to Oz. This is her wish fulfilled. This is her getting back the status that she wanted or that she thought she wanted. This is her coming home. But I think that over time, and we're starting to see it already, we don't see it until the very end of this first half. She has been more changed by her experiences in the Prime universe than she'd been aware. So what she had wanted, a desired destination all that time, both geographically, dimensionally, and psychologically, where she thought she needed to be and where she's actually, they're not going to be that fit that they were anymore. It's not going to be working for her anymore. And we're going to see an increased growth. And they're going to hammer home the differences in the character compared to when she first joined the crew and where she is now, and point to where they're going to take her hopefully in the remainder of her time on this show, which is probably only going to be a couple of episodes, but particularly in Star Trek Section 31.
It's like Pete said, it's a soft pilot episode in some respects, and
well, we don't know where they're going to. You can't have a pilot because we don't know what the format of it's going to be. So maybe they will take out.
Yeah, I don't think it's a pilot. I think Dan's 100% right. I think it's redirecting the character to make them be able to write a show around them. Which okay.
It's like taking your car to after you've been in an accident, you take a car or a van to the body shop and they do the panel beating to get it to look how you want it to look. And so this is crude, it is, but at least it's a concerted effort, and I think that's why I've responded to it the way that I have. That I'm generally favourable. I think that's what kind of how the rabbis felt about it as well.
No. I'm not generally favourable. Again, the least
appreciative of the effort. Go on. Sorry, I'm sorry I talked over you. What was that? Sorry.
No, I said not generally favourable. Just like the least objectionable. Right? Really, still I don't want to watch this. It's awful.
So, what would you give this? What would you give this, then, Rabbi? How many communicators out of let's say 5 this time? How many communicators out of 5 do you award this episode?
Oh, bloody hell! Well, I like a communicator, and I think that's a valuable thing. So I don't. Okay, if it's how many communicators out of 5 is a couple of rocks, and with a note saying "bang them together," and you'll work it out, chaps. Right? That's what it is. It's not even on the. It's
Pete, what would you give this one?
Unwatchable, missable pat. I don't want to tell you.
What would you give this one out of 5, Pete?
Square root of -1. It's an irrational number.
Wow. Okay, this is not gone down well with Mr. Mealy. I'm surprised by this. And Keith, how about you? Where
Well, it's awkward because in terms of just a bit of fun episode, it's fine. But in terms of forwarding the Discovery season 3 story, other than Giorgio, it's not doing a lot, is it? No. But out of 5, because we normally do it out of 10, don't we? But out of 5, I would give it, the mirror me would give it a 2.5 out of 5. 2.5 pits.
You can give it an 8 out of 5 if you want.
To say.
It wouldn't make much. Yeah, it wouldn't make a great deal of difference.
I mean, it was enjoyable enough. I'm very surprised that they chose to do it this way. That's my only thing. I was like, oh, okay, this is not how I thought they were going to set the Giorgio thing.
I was too. I think they could have done it in a lot cleaner a way. I would give this dead on half mark. So yeah, I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. There you go.
Right.
Yes, so
we gave the same score then.
So
totally different routes.
Half marks. I would give this half marks. That's the general gist of it. And I can't believe this, but I'm actually almost looking forward to seeing the second half. I'm interested about where it's going to go, and that's a novel thing for me. I don't want to dislike Star Trek, so yeah, I'm latching onto that. The fact that I've felt something, anything other than blind dislike.
Yeah, no, I must admit, I'm very intrigued about the next episode, and I just hope that I'm not disappointed by it. I hope they do something really cool with what they've set up here now, and I really, I want to get more answers to the other plot that's running as well, sort of the B plot that we had in this episode. But if it means a bit of pantomime in the mirror universe to get there, then fine, I guess.
If people want to hear more, Pete, if people need more answers, need more talk about Terra Firma, and need to go through this with you again or get a little bit deeper, what would you recommend they do? Is there a podcast or anything out there you could put?
Yeah, you can listen to our podcast, Let's See What's Out There, that Keith and I do about Star Trek Discovery. We've also mentioned Mandalorian, and you can listen to Keith and our friend Ryan discuss Mandalorian on Let's See What's Out There Plus, all available on the same feed on all good podcasting apps.
Sounds more than fair to me. How about you, Keith? What have you got going on this week?
Yeah, well, apart from that, I also have another YouTube channel called Home Media Minefield. I always get the wrong side here. Home Media Minefield. And that's doing reviews of physical media, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, etc. So yeah, please check that out. There's about 50 episodes on there already, and more to come. So thank you.
Wonderful, great channel. Give it some support. Go over there and subscribe to the Home Media Minefield, and watch out for the mines. Rabbi, what's going on? As we're dropping this at the beginning of another week, so what's going on your planet this week over on?
What's going on my planet? Well, listen, I just want to say to anybody watching this out there or listening to this, if your life isn't perfect, if there's anything in your life that you feel is even a subtle lacking in any way, come to my channel. Hit that subscribe button, and I'm not going to guarantee you that hole will be filled, but it probably will. It probably. If you want to know, what is the reason? What is the secret of life, universe, and everything? I do reveal that quite often on my channel, right? Quite often. You got to be there to catch it. But yeah, I have that. If you want to know, how to play the trombone, I will teach you that. If you want to know how to be irresistible to the not to the opposite sex, but the sex that you are attracted to on that day, whatever that day that may be, you come to my channel. I'll let you know. Anything that you want will come. It has been said. I'm a bit of a subscriber whore. That is true. I am a subscriber whore. I will do anything to get subscribed, but I'm also a whore for my subscribers. So whatever you want, baby, it's happening over at my channel. Coming over, Rabbi from Another Planet. Like, share, and subscribe. Ring the little bell.
I've got the best tagline for you. You ought to use this: life coaching the universe and everything.
Life coaching the universe. It worked.
Yes,
by Jiggery.
any of that. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out what's going on this channel. Please like this video if you haven't already, even if you think we've got it all wrong. Maybe you think we've got it all right, in which case you want to subscribe to the channel, definitely, and tell anybody else about it. Let's get the word out there about Warp Drive and all these outrageous reviews. Also on this channel, you can find regular Doctor Who talk from another dimension. Still more Doctor Who talk, and there's Doctor Who Christmas talk coming up very, very soon too. Lots of videos about that. We've got talk about Star Wars. You name it. Star Wars, Game of Thrones, all that new Star Wars material. Even Barbara Windsor got talked about on the Saturday stream this week over on this channel, on the Spacebook channel. More of that to come later on. We've got one more episode of The Mandalorian to come. And yes, you are not going to want to miss this. This is our Blake 7 podcast, that perennial, much-loved British sci-fi series, Blake 7. Yeah, we talk about it on Teleport every month. 3 episodes have already dropped. This is a podcast that we have in an enhanced form, I do beg your pardon, on this channel. So you can see my interviews with, on the first one, we had Lily Mae Sherritt and Graham Robertson from Colt Edge, 2 pillars of the fandom community, talking about how they found their way into this show. Then we've got John Ainsworth from Big Finish, who is the showrunner, effectively, of current Blake 7. Give us an exclusive interview there on episode 2. And most recently, we've got Howard Blake, who talks about special effects and CGI and how in this world where the BBC and Fabulous Films refuse to remaster Blake 7, he's doing it himself, bit by bit, with new CGI. So there's some great conversations there, even if I say so myself. And thank you for all those positive reviews so far.
I tell you, that CGI that guy did, after watching that, I went to check out. Freaking incredible. How we read Blake 7 is a show crying out for, in my opinion, for a bit of a wash, bit of a spruce up. The way they did it was completely in character. I really liked it.
The storytelling's good. The storytelling's great. So
where Howard came to that from, he won't mind me saying, we talk about it in the episode, is that he'd seen what had been done with TOS. He'd seen the Star Trek DVDs, and he couldn't see why that couldn't be done for Blake 7. I think he's definitely observing the same.
By the way, best TOS new special effect by far is the the halter when it rises up to like gobble somebody up in the. I love that. It's all like.
Yeah, it's wonderful. There's some great moments there. I could go back and rewatch that. I'm probably going to do that, rewatch TOS again in a year or so, something like that. Because occasionally, I think I watched Space Seed quite recently. I've cherry picked the odd one or two, and I've watched a couple with my son. But yeah, it's a great show. My love for TOS has really been born again over the last 4 or 5 years. That does wrap us up for this time, though. Yes, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. And don't miss, episode 10 of Discovery is coming next. We're going to be here to talk about it. Some of us, a few of us, all of us, maybe, or maybe just 2 of us. We'll have to see what happens as we get close to Christmas. But stick with us here on the Spacebook channel. But that is all we've got time for now. Bye-bye.